Hi guys! In Algebra 1, we're doing section 2.1 titled Graphing Inequalities. So, when you're graphing inequalities, we need to figure out first the term of inequality, which is basically comparing two unequal numbers. So two numbers that are unequal, and we're using one of these symbols. Either it's less than, greater than, less than or equal to. That sign underneath says less than or equal to, and this sign represents greater than or equal to. Okay? Basically, what it's saying is, for example, if we have this as 2 and 5, this is, 5 and 2. If A is 5 and B is 2, okay, the open side of the sign goes to the bigger number. So 5 is greater than 2. But if it's on here with a line underneath, then it's 5 is either greater than or equal to 2. So this can go all the way up to 4, because 5 is bigger than 4. But this, because it has a line underneath, it can go all the way up to its equal number, which is 5. So 5 is either greater than 5 or it's equal to 5. Okay? So that's the difference between the yes line and no line. When we're going to do examples down here, so we're turning on, we're going to graph them, okay? So you either have an open or closed. And what I mean by open is the starting point. You have to mark the starting point. So for example, here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is negative 5. So what it's saying is this number right here is where I start. But because it doesn't have a line underneath, I'm going to start with an open circle. So like that, to mark where I started. And it's all the numbers that means 5 is always bigger than x. So anything I put in for x, okay, it has to be, anything that I put in for x, it has to be a number smaller than 5. It can't even be 5 at this point. So any number smaller than 5 will make this true, okay? So my x's are anything that makes the equation true. If I put a 6, it's not true. So that means all the smaller numbers, so that means anything here, okay, inequalities I can put more than one answer. Anything that's lower on this side is less than 5 and makes it true. So that's how I graph it. Okay? In this case right here, okay, here's the -1. That's my starting point. Again, there's no line underneath, so I'm going to start with an open circle. Now I have to decide whether I need to go all the numbers less and all the numbers bigger. Well, in this sense, -1, okay, -1 is the one that's smaller than x. So all x's need to be bigger than -1. So I'm dealing with all numbers bigger, and I'm going right. Now, please don't assume that every time you see less than, it's going to the left. Every time you see greater than, it's going to the right. Okay? There are some cases where it's not, especially when x is on the other side. So don't make that rule. You have to be able to see, are we looking for all the numbers less than or all the numbers greater than? In this case, you're only dealing with two options. Okay? Now, when we add the or equal to sign on the bottom, it's not any more difficult than the others. It's just, in this case, we have to do a closed circle. So in this one, it's x is less than or equal to 2. So here is 2 positive 2. And so because it has this right here, okay, I'm going to do a closed circle, right? And then I'm going to decide whether I need all the smaller numbers or all the bigger numbers. So in this case, I'm dealing with all x's are smaller than 2, okay, because 2 is the biggest that it'll get. So that means I'm going on the left-hand side. Sorry, it's not the straightest line in the world. And on this one, because of this, it's also closed. So this is my 0, okay? And so I'm going to start with 0 as my number, closed circle, okay? And it says, and all the numbers that are bigger than or equal to, bigger than 0. X is all bigger than 0. Okay? So basically what that means is open circle means it does not include 5. This cannot be 5. But this can be 2. That's why I've included closed circle. So if you can remember it that way too. That if I can include the number as my starting point, then I do closed circle. If I can't, then it's open circle. All right? So go ahead and pause the video, write this down, and we're going to go through some examples. All right, so this one is asking us to solve and describe the solution. So I want to put what's happening here in words, but in order for me to do that, I need to isolate x. X always needs to be isolated, okay? So in this case, I'm going to treat this like an equal sign, okay? So if I have x minus 6, I need to get rid of x's friends, which is -6, so I'm going to add 6 to both sides, okay? This cancels this out and end up with x is greater than or equal to 10. So I explain this by x is greater than or equal to 10. Right? In this case, it wants us to graph it. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this. Okay, let's make this 0, this 1, this -1. This is 1/2, this is 1/2. So this is, well, that's -3/4. Okay, so I'm going to start, am I doing open circle or closed circle? Well, because there's a line here, I'm going to do closed circle because it includes it. And m, so all the values are going to be bigger than 3/4. So I'm going left or right. I'm going to go right. Okay? Because m is anything bigger than 3/4. So anything less than 3/4 will make this not true. Okay? The next one, I have to solve 2 because I can't graph it until everything is isolated. So we have t is greater than -1 plus 3. Okay, order of operations, parentheses is before we multiply. So -1 plus 3, if we remember the number line, will give me +2. Okay, so we have t is less than 5 times 2, which is 10. So now we can graph this. Right? So I'm going to start off with 0, 5, 10, -5, -10. And when you draw these graphs, they can be in whatever sequence you want to be. Okay? So this one is open circle or closed circle. Well, because there's no line underneath, we're dealing with open circle. Okay? And it's all the numbers that are less than 10 will make this true. So any numbers to the left of 10 will make this true. All right? Okay, the next one is they give us the inequality. So we're not graphing, but we're trying to figure out what this is according to the graph. So here, we're going to start, let's just have a letter. It can be any letter. This one chose M and this one chose T. Let's stick with X. It's open circle or closed circle. Well, because this is open circle, that means it's not included, so we don't put a line underneath, okay? And it starts off with 2. Okay, that's the 1, 2. So I know it's 2. Now we're trying to decide whether or not it's greater than or less than. On this, all the numbers are less than our starting point. So that means X is all the numbers less than 2. Okay, see how that works? So let's try this one. Our starting number, well, let's start with the variable X. Our starting number is -0.5. Okay, now we have to decide between greater than or less than. So when we do that, when we do that, this, we have to remember that because it's a closed circle, there's going to be a line underneath because negative 0.5 is included. So these are all the numbers that are greater than 0.5, so all the values of x have to be bigger than negative 0.5. So I'm going to do greater than or equal to sign of negative 0.5. All right? So go ahead and try this. Try page 103, numbers 8, 9, and 13. 103, numbers 8, 9, and 13. And I will see you in class.